Blessed to be a part of your day out to Washington, D.C. Our great friend Cassie Smedley joining us once again. Cassie, good to have you with us.
Hey, Kevin, great to be with you.
How is life at the RNC?
Well, it's feeling very swampy, but that's really just the weather. We are hopefully insulated from that here in our building itself.
I can only imagine.
It's a hot one here. I wish I had, I think, some of y'all's weather. I think it's a little nicer out there this time of year than around here. But anyway, we're doing well. We're fighting through it, and we're in the home stretch of this midterm cycle, so we are ready and raring to go.
Well, you take a look at that. What do you make of what happened in Florida and Arizona recently?
Right. Well, from our side, we're very excited about all of our candidates, and we think that our primary system worked just great. We had great options, and now everybody's ready to propel all of our candidates to victory in November. But on the Democrat side, and I think what you're kind of getting at over in Florida in particular, they were shocked. Even the Democrats were absolutely shocked. They didn't see it coming to have Andrew Gillum win. He, of course, is basically an avowed socialist. He's an abolish ICE. He's a single-payer health insurance guy. And let's not forget that his mayor's office is under investigation for speculation that they misspent funds or misapplied contracts. So he is the very definition of all the extremes in big government corruption that I don't think we want to see. And I think that's what we're going to hear a lot about in these next 67, 68 days. And so it's going to be a fight on their hands, but and on our hands. But I think Floridians know what's best for their state, and that's to keep this good economic comeback going. And you don't get that if you elect a socialist. So we need to get Ron DeSantis in there down there.
I'm with you. You know, what do you make of just this obsession with trying to get the president? We have people urging the Southern District of New York to do this, to do that, and if Mueller doesn't have anything, then get him here, and here. And you're thinking, when does this become just rooting against the American people, against the president that was elected by the people to fix the economy, which, Cassie, as you know, he's doing?
Right, and that's exactly what it is. It's rooting against the American people. And that needs to be said more because that's how we feel. We made our decision. We made a very sound decision. And you are not allowing democracy to take its proper course. But for the president's part, I love it. The president can be out there tweeting away his thoughts, and I know that annoys liberals to no end. And then we get great economic news seemingly day after day. His agenda is working. You've got good Republicans in Congress who are promoting it. Just look this week in the Senate. I know no one ever likes to give the Senate credit, but our court system has been completely reshaped because Mitch McConnell and Republican senators have forced that nomination and confirmation process. President Trump has nominated some great courts down at the appeals level, and that's a generational change in the makeup of our courts that we've been able to get through because we've got great Republicans in the right spot, starting, of course, with President Trump and working its way down. So that in and of itself, if you're one of these people who voted for President Trump because of the Supreme Court, if you're one of these people who sees what the news about reshaping the courts, or you like the tax cuts, or you like the deregulation, we've got to get out this November and keep this comeback going. All of that good news stops if Democrats get majorities back in either the House or the Senate. We've got to keep the good news going, and we've got to keep the agenda moving for President Trump so that we can continue this great American comeback.
And, Cassie, that's the challenge, whether it's here in Idaho or across the country, because the Democrats are committed not to getting business done, but to try and get rid of the president. And that's fact, not fiction. You have prominent Democrats talking about impeachment for what? They'll make something up.
That's exactly right. I think I saw scrolling this morning on one of the channels, you can guess which one, a list of all of the options that are available to them. And it's everything from family matters to security clearances. They'll just make it up. There doesn't need to be any real rhyme or reason for them. And we've seen that since election night, right? It's been resist, resist, resist. But unfortunately for them, the American people aren't motivated to vote because of resistance. They're motivated to vote because of results. And that's what the president and Republicans have delivered. So while, yes, it's important that the American people know exactly what they're going to get if they allow Nancy Pelosi to get the gavel, and that is an impeachment process. Make no mistake. And by the way, maybe you're seeing this too. Democrats know this to be the case. We've seen that they voted even for impeachment bills when they've been brought to the House floor. But they don't want you to talk about it because they know that's bad for them. They know that doesn't help their election chances. But that is exactly the reality of what they want to do. So keep that in the back of your mind, but expect your local leaders to be out there talking about the results that you get from electing people who want to work for you and have a government that works for you.
Our great friend Cassie Smedley joining us from the RNC, Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. You touched on this earlier, Cassie, this idea of socialism. And most of us, we were taught socialism was wrong. It's on the wrong side of history. But you have mainstream prominent Democrats, their platform, get rid of ICE and bring in socialism.
Yes, it's funny. When I was growing up in school, socialism was a failed government experiment of a bygone era. The fact that we would be talking about this as something that people actually want to exist in our country today is unbelievable. And I don't know if you caught any of the clips, or maybe you watched it live, of the New York gubernatorial debate yesterday with Cuomo and Cynthia Nixon. I mean, how far left can they bring each other? It was incredible. It was right. It was a checklist of socialism, and the crowd, there was some applause there as well. It's incredible what they are not trying to hide the direction they want to take this country. And to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, again, up in New York, she's become the darling of the Democrat socialists. To see, yes, Andrew Gillum down in Florida, absolutely heralding the socialist platform. And by the way, Kristen Sinema out in Arizona, who, of course, is a Democrat challenger to Martha McSally, the great fighter pilot Republican who's running for the Senate seat. Kirsten Sinema, she calls herself the Prada socialist. That's a take on the limousine liberal, that she calls herself that. So this is not just some small group of folks who believe this. These are prominent Democrats in battleground states who are unabashed in their support for socialism, and it's really something to behold and something to be concerned about.
Right, and we're not just talking about fantasy here. This is real life, and, we go back to the dustbin of history with these socialist regimes, and to think that could happen in America. Crazy. That's
right. And or even look no further than what's happening in Venezuela. 110% inflation. The murder and crime rate is just absolutely horrific. And if you love socialism so much, go down there. Go live there and then tell us what you think of it. But that you would have people who are trying to make it this sexy topic and something that millennials should just cherish and want. No, what we want, and I'm a millennial, we want a good paying job that allows us to be able to plan for our lives and, oh yeah, by the way, be able to go out to eat with our friends. But I don't want to rely on the government for any of that. And that they would try and romanticize this is really terrifying, because the mainstream media and all of the Hollywood celebrities give it oxygen.
Let's talk about you people for a minute, Cassie, since you brought up you self-identified, you outed yourself as a millennial.
Oh, no.
It's easy to rip it on millennials, but this is the most challenged generation because we've had, under, when the millennials were coming of age, I came under age under Reagan, but most of them came under the age of Obama, and that was a dangerous thing, to be taught that, well, the government will take care of you, the government will lead you, and the government will decide everything. How do we reach more folks and bring them to our side?
That's right. Well, I think there's a little bit of a divide in the millennial generation, quote unquote. So for my generation, and I was those years right at the economic downturn, and I was very lucky to graduate college and have a job, but I saw any number of my friends who were in line with thousands of others. And you're not just talking about recent college graduates. You're talking about folks who have had 20-year careers who are now without a job, and they're all competing for the same entry-level position. We remember what it was like to not know what you were going to do, to not know how you were going to get a job, and to have to, in many ways, be inventive or take on multiple jobs or, yes, move back home with your parents. And I think that side of the millennial generation is not buying the socialist stuff. But then you've got the other side of the millennial generation that came up when times started getting a little bit better. And by the way, that wasn't because of good government. That was because of the scrappiness and ingenuity of great Americans who said, we're not going to allow our country to fall victim to this big government policy. And those folks don't remember what it was like when the answer to everything was more and bigger government, and how that just sunk us deeper and deeper and deeper. And so I think that's what's interesting, and I know that's a little bit of a roundabout answer there, but I think how we bring them over is reminding this, I guess, older millennials like myself that there is pride in work.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Cassie, I hate to interrupt you. Older millennials. That's the first time I've heard that, but
listen, there's a whole generation after us now. We're aging, but there's a pride of work, and there was a value in ingenuity, and there was a gratefulness for the businesses who took risk despite that every government factor seemed to be against them. More generation, more regulation, more taxing, Obamacare. All these things were against so many American businesses, and yet we had a lot of great local companies in particular, but big companies too, who said, we got to get this workforce going again. And you don't get that by just having endless government programs at the disposal of everybody. So anyway, we're getting into a little bit more of a philosophical and existential conversation this morning, but I think it is reminding about the message you get with just going out there and doing it for yourself and self-empowerment, not government empowerment. And there is a great swath of younger people who say, yes, that's what I believe in. We can't allow these limousine liberals, Protestant socialists, Hollywood liberals, whatever you want to call them, to be able to overtake the conversation. So that's my soapbox for today.
Your soapbox, Cassie, is always welcomed here. Let's just go to our favorite place, Montana, because that is heating up. I always ask you for the Montana update. Your thoughts on that race? Senator Tester has defeated the odds before, but he hasn't had President Trump to go against in the past.
That's exactly right. And you saw the polls this week that he's behind by, there's one poll out this week that said he was behind by just a couple of points, so it's very close. But and I think we've talked about this, when President Trump was out there to rally in Montana a little over a month ago, that was an incredible rally. We saw the results of that here at the RNC because we get information on everyone who goes to a rally and wants to sign up to volunteer. We then go out and get back in touch with them. And we had an incredible response from that rally in particular of people saying, sign me up. I'm in this, and I want to help the president, and I want to help keep this great American comeback going. And so that's why I think I love talking about this with you, because I do think it is the dark horse. Some people think it's a foregone conclusion for Tester, and the people in Montana are saying, not so fast. We like what we're seeing under President Trump, and we wish we had another senator in the Senate who would help support this agenda. And Jon Tester's not that guy. So it is a fascinating one to watch.
We're watching the House, and it'll be tough. Historically, it is tough in the president's first term. However, the Senate, you like, Brett Kavanaugh. You want someone as conservative or even more conservative. You got to get more Republicans in the Senate for the next time around. And we hope that happens, because the Supreme Court, as the president has said, Cassie, is what you've said. That's where it counts.
That's exactly right. And as the Kavanaugh hearings start next Tuesday, expect for sure from our part a whole coalition of folks to be out there reminding folks that if this was your issue, this is why you elected Donald Trump, and this is why you got to keep good, strong Republicans in office so that we can continue this trajectory. And so I think it's going to be must-see TV next week, and we're going to make sure people are paying attention, and that rallies them to the polls in November.
Well, Cassie, we appreciate it. And I kind of like your thoughts. If you're looking for a good time, maybe go see if you can watch the rerun on C-SPAN of the New York governor's debate. That sounds like a good time.
I have to say I caught it up on the Twitter moments. I guess that's the millennial in me. But, yeah, it was pretty good.
Well, it's nice that you older millennials can keep up with the times.
With the technology.
Yeah.
Always good to be with you, Kevin. It is must-see TV.
Yes, ma'am. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boy, what a nice young lady. Cassie Smedley joining us. Your thoughts, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We go to Lori in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning, Kevin. I enjoyed the last guest, and I was interested that you got into the topic of socialism, and it's so dangerous, and I think one of the best ways we can confront it is to have these people look at the effects of it and these leaders and the murders that has come over and over in these societies. And one of the people I've been listening to watching YouTube, is Jordan Peterson, and he talks a lot about totalitarianism and his study of it, and how every one of these socialist experiments, these compulsion, they led to death in Ukraine, in Russia, in Germany, everywhere they've been. In Venezuela, it's happening. And we need to look at that and see that these leaders, they're the ones that become wealthy, and everyone else is oppressed. And if they have the right to take away someone's property to equalize things, they can come for your property and for you and imprison you. And these callers, you had callers that are so impressive, like from Cuba and so on, where I remember, a couple of weeks ago, that man that called in, he said his mother went with him, took him to steal food from the government. And he said, well, why do we have to steal if it's the people's food? And she said, be quiet and just take the food. It always leads there. And these kids don't understand that. They need to look at the murder. They need to look at the bodies.
Well, and that's the scary part, is you have these people wearing their Castro shirts and everything else. And, hey, everybody's going to be equal. Everybody gets free stuff. Well, health care is not free. We're all paying for that. The social safety net isn't free. We're all paying for that. That comes at a cost.
It does. It comes at a human cost. It comes at a cost of life and property. And when you say that you have to have compulsory health care, or that it's a right, then you are compelling a person to become a doctor. You're compelling a person to give their services, a nurse or a doctor. You have a right to tell someone that the path or the price that they can give their services for, the path they'll take in college. This is murderous, because it takes, at the point of force, at lethal force, they can compel you. So you need to look at that. Everyone needs to look at that. It's about compulsion. And we need to do...
It's about saving the kids. I'm sorry, Laura. It's about saving the kids, too, because this generation, the largest we've ever had, if they're down with the socialism, 10, maybe even 5 years from now, we'll all be singing the socialist praises. They'll be giving us all berets.
That's right. The only thing I'm really in favor of compulsory is compulsory education. I wish in every college, in every grade school, high school, they had to watch videos of what happens with socialist governments. They need to see the pictures. So, anyway, thank you. Appreciate what you do.
Well, Lori, we're humbled to have you aboard in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, coming up next, it's Dimitri. You remember him. We'll hear from him about socialism, Senator Tester, and you with me, Kevin Miller, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Dimitri in Meridian with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dimitri.
Good morning, Kevin.
How you been?
I've been good. Good. I was planning to give a call, and so I was thinking, maybe I should do this morning, because I was out of town. And then you're talking about socialism. Isn't it Lady Casey? Really great lady, isn't she?
An incredible example of the goodness in our future, sir.
Yeah, it gives me hope as well, because it's already kind of proven that millennial generation it actually has the potential to be the greatest generation, but so far it hasn't turned out yet. But I guess they're still playing, so we will see. But you said to call you back and see if we can talk more about socialism. Here I am, Kevin.
Well, Dimitri, we were talking a little bit about yesterday how socialism has become very popular with mainstream Democrats, and a lot of the millennials, they're down with the state controlling everything. You've got personal experience with that. Shed some light on it, please. And are you down with socialism in America?
No, of course not. Of course, I have a visceral allergy and everything mixed with that towards socialism, because I actually grew up under that, and everything they want, like I told you before, we had in Soviet Union. We did have a long extended government paid leave for women. We did have free kindergarten. We did have free education all the way to PhD. We did have everything that they dream about. We did have, and the life was the life was horrible, and for many millions of people, because once you start distributing that, then you have to start rationing. That's the only way to do that. For example, just quick thing, we had free college education in Soviet Union, but once you graduated, you were mandated to go wherever government wanted you to go for 5 years. And of course, many people end up somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Siberia. That's how my mom ended up in Siberia after she graduated from college with the highest score, and then she kind of got married and ended up living there. So also college kids, it was kind of they were mandated every fall to go and collect produce from the fields. So they would have no classes for about a month for September, the first part of October, to collect beets or potatoes or whatever. So that's free college education for you, just so they know. If they get it for free, so called, it will not be free. And there's many other issues.
Well, you're right,
one more
Dimitri.
thing also I want to touch
Hold on,
base
Dimitri.
quickly.
Before everybody, number one, everybody pays. Number two, how desolate is Siberia? We hear all about people getting sent to Siberia. That's in all of our movies. Can you tell us a little bit about Siberia?
Well, Siberia is Russia, because of socialism, was about 50 years behind. That's a Western Russia on development. Yes, we had cutting edge technology in space exploration and military. So because that's where the government spent most of their money, but the rest of the people just got pittance. And Siberia, everything after Ural Mountains, we got even less. So Siberia on average on everything you can imagine was about 100 years behind the United States at that time. So just imagine how it was here about 100 years ago, and take it all the way to probably North Dakota, Minnesota, maybe Alaska, that kind of lifestyle.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. You wanted one more thing to add, Dimitri?
Yes. Another thing with socialism, when we mention about Cuba and Venezuela, they right away start screaming, no, we're talking about democratic socialism, not that kind of socialism. Well, guess what? Lenin was part of the original party that Lenin was part of was RDRSP, which is Russian Democratic Socialist Party in Russia. So Lenin and all the communists, they were part of Democratic Socialist Party. They were democratic socialists. And when there was a revolution about now 100 years ago in February of 1917-18, those days, they're more mild, like the milk toast, the Democratic Socialists came to power, and Lenin and his body, they said we need to take Russia even more to the left. And that's basically how it happened. They started pulling harder and harder, and by 1921, they killed most of the liberal democratic socialists. And that's what they renamed the party into Communist Party of Russia. You have to remember, Russia was never a communist party, it's a communist country. Russia was a socialist country that was governed by the government, and on top of that was a communist party. You have to remember, everyone needs to remember, the goal of socialism is communism. That's from the horse's mouth. Vladimir Lenin said that. So they don't mind if they can get first, little by little. They don't mind but their goal is communism. They will hide that. They will obfuscate that. They will say, no, this is not the goal. But you've seen it with liberals. When you give them an inch, they don't take a mile. They take 100 miles.
Dimitri, God bless. Thank you, brother.
God bless you, Kevin. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, Dimitri in Meridian. The libs will take everything. Traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave.
This is Channel 7's Eric Everett.
And I'm Kevin Miller. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning. Don't forget, next week we will be in Washington, D.C., taking a look at just the big issues. We'll be there the entire week, Wednesday and Thursday in particular, with the Federation for American Immigration Reform, taking a look at what we can do to stop the continued invasion of the United States of America. What does Idaho's role in this battle? We'll be there all next week. Of course, coming up on Friday, our great friend Chuck Ambrose will join us in the 8 o'clock hour on Friday morning. Looking forward to having Chuck on, break down what's really happening with this Bruce Orr investigation, with the latest with Rosenstein, with Mueller, with, I'm trying to think, Comey, all these folks. So that's coming up. Former U.S. Attorney Chuck Ambrose joins us coming up on Friday morning at 8 o'clock. We look forward to that. Joining us now, probably the second happiest person associated with the Green Bay Packers, Jeff Monasso of Fox News Radio. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, good morning, my friend.
How about that Aaron Rodgers contract?
Yeah, it's just nice to know that he'll be able to live, somewhat comfortably in the small town of Green Bay for the next 46 years. That makes me happy.
Green Bay is a magical place, and I hate to get you off topic here, but it is preseason football. We're getting ready for the NFL season, but just one more thing. It's such a small town, and I had a friend of mine who did talk radio in Green Bay, and you really do get access to the players a lot closer than any other town, just based on it's the smallest city in the NFL.
They are so accessible. Throughout sports, whether it's baseball, football, any sort of franchise. I'm not sure how this happened in Green Bay. A lot of teams came and went and disappeared back in the early parts of the last century, and Green Bay stuck with it, and it is a story that it's amazing that Green Bay was able to pull off what they've pulled off. It's the only team publicly owned. The Green Bay Packers will never ever be sold. There was a contract written back in I think it was by Curly Lambeau actually wrote the deal. If the team was ever worth anything and was ever sold, all the proceeds would go to the local VFW. So unlike all these other major city franchises, Green Bay really is something special, and players are very accessible, and they're very appreciative to folks in Green Bay, and it's a special thing. And if you ever want to come and hang out and touch the shrine, I'd be happy to meet you up at Lambeau Field. It's quite an experience.
I might take you up on that. Jeff Monasso joining us, Fox News Radio. And before we start doing NFL talk, big move concerning immigration agents arresting 160 people in a workplace raid in Texas.
Yeah, they were taken into custody at Lode Trail Trailer Company in Sumner, Texas. That's just northeast of Dallas. Homeland Security investigators say that the operation was centered around a tip and basically an ongoing criminal HSI investigation regarding this business that they had been aware of. Being investigated for knowingly hiring a significant number of illegal aliens. Lode Trail Trailer calling the raid disappointing and surprising and pledged to cooperate. But this is at least the second immigration raid targeting this very same business in the last 4 years. Back in 2014, there were raided 170 illegals arrested, detained, and the company paid $445,000 in fines.
This obviously lends itself to the broader question of, immigration reform and whether or not that will happen. Democrats seemingly will make that an issue, some advocating the elimination of ICE. So the drama continues. Of course, Jeff, as you pointed out, it doesn't help the workplace or the workers.
Well, there's an argument to be made. This company says, look, we have high-paying jobs. We pay our welders, $40 an hour, which is a pretty decent wage. And without our welders, we can't move our product down the line for assembly. And so, this is not a job. It's not like Americans are lining up to take these positions. We've heard the same argument in agriculture, meat packing plants in places across the country where we've seen recent illegal immigrant roundups in other states. So that's this company's argument. They say that we're a pillar of the community. We donate to good causes. We're good neighbors. We just need employees to help this business grow and to keep going. They employ about 500 people, though at the same time it's illegal. These people are in the country illegally, according to our laws. And Katrina Berger, a special assistant in charge of ICE's Homeland Security investigations, says that these businesses can't turn a blind eye to those illegal workers, and it should be a message for other employers who engage in illegal hiring. And the message is that we're watching and that we're coming. By
Jeff,
the way, this was the largest ICE raid in almost a decade.
Jeff Manasso, kind of like the NFL.
We'll see, my friend. We'll see.
Well, congratulations. It's great that Aaron Rodgers will stay in Green Bay. And, people criticize the NFL, but it's wonderful that that system works that allows Green Bay to be just as competitive as Dallas or New York.
Yeah, I'm here, my friend.
Jeff, have a great day, sir.
You too.
Jeff Manasso joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Talking socialism today. Hey now, R&R joins us. We were just talking about you last hour. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Thank you, Kevin. I really want to thank you and everybody else that's willing to voice their concerns about the movement. Socialism, in my opinion, is truly just a veil for communism. It's not palatable to even discuss communism because there's too many good people left. But if we erode our republic and our freedoms with socialism, it's just a step in the absolute wrong direction. Someone a couple of days ago, within the last couple of days, mentioned Skousen, which I haven't read that volume in quite some time, but Cleon Skousen really laid down the agenda. It's easy to read, and I was privy to that information when I was young and more of a loyalist than I am today. But my concern is for the next generation, especially the X generation and the kids that are in high school and junior high right now. It just concerns me. And then secondly, I know you're going to get an opportunity to talk to Brad Little, and it would be just grand if you could ask him his beliefs and his concerns about socialism, and at the same time, Paulette Jordan. I would like.
Well, that's another good point. Is she a socialist?
That's what people are saying. I have a hard time believing that, but I know you wouldn't have a problem asking her that on the airwaves. So again, let's invite her to the microphone and see if she has that as an agenda.
Well, why don't you personally invite her right now? I know you have in the past, but for people that haven't heard you during the earlier hours of the program, why don't you make the appeal to Madam Jordan right now?
Okay, let's see. I'm certain that Paulette Jordan has a remarkable agenda, specifically with the indigenous people, and perhaps some redress and bringing some empowerment to all the native tribes of Idaho and even Oregon and Wyoming. It would be phenomenal for Paulette to come over and see Ray and our good friends on the radio at 580 a.m. We're real interested, Paulette, in knowing what your agenda is and also to hear your voice. It's only a couple of months till the election, and I'll leave it at that. Bring your horse if you can, because it's a phenomenal horse, and let's hear what it is you bring to Idaho.
Right. Madam Jordan's welcome all the time. We'll see if she shows up.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, R&R. All right, R&R. Jerry in Nampa, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM with KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jerry.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. This is a little bit off topic, but something just hit me right between the eyes the other day. I was watching the news, and it's regarding this Bruce Orr issue. And everybody seems to think the Bruce Orr thing is such a mystery. And why would he be going after Donald Trump? And I've got it figured out. we found out that Bruce Orr is in charge of drugs and gangs in the FBI. If he can get rid of Donald Trump, he won't be out of a job. But if Donald Trump stays in there and gets rid of the gangs and the drugs, Bruce Orr won't have any place to go.
Well, I agree with you, Jerry, and that's very insightful. It's sad to me that the FBI... Now, Jerry, have you ever been involved in anything high speed in your life? You know what I'm saying?
High speed?
You know, like recently the other day I was talking to somebody who a friend of theirs is associated with people in the military or police or law enforcement. High speed by the meaning that they do things. And when we talk to people in those communities, I'm always fascinated because they have a higher ethical code, a military code. You know, it's like in the military, you're not allowed to politic in uniform. You're not allowed to use that. You have to keep your opinions to yourself. And, you know, that's just for a basic E1. So here you have...
I think honorable went out the door in 2008.
Well, you're right about that, and it's going to take us a long time to get that back, sir. But, you know, here we have Bruce Orr feeding the information that apparently he got from his wife, and nobody said, well, wait a minute, Orr, shouldn't you recuse yourself because your wife is working for this company? And, you know, this company, Fusion GPS, heck, they probably gave her a bonus, I'm speculating, for getting this thing to the FBI because, you know, it's commission. As far
as I'm concerned, Nellie Orr's the bigger of the two criminals.
And McCabe was in on it.
They were all in on it. Why aren't they in jail?
Well, that's a very good question.
By the way, Sarah Carter was looking beautiful this morning on Fox and Friends and has a way of explaining this so that even a liberal should be able to understand it.
Well, that's why I catch her every afternoon with Sean.
Yep. Anyway, I was being somewhat facetious about Bruce Orr.
I'm with you.
But
I caught
they
that.
all ought to be in prison.
We should lock him up. Maybe we should start that chant, lock him up, with Hillary.
Well, we had it going once, and then they all made fun of us.
Well, it happens to me a lot. Crooked Hillary.
Talk to you later.
Thank you, Jerry. Pete, Mountain Home, joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio, and I don't know if you were listening earlier. Liberal Steve called you out.
Well, I didn't hear Liberal Steve. What do you have to say?
Oh, he said that he did your talking points for you because everything he says, you're always slapping him back. So,
well, I would suggest for Liberal Steve and the young millennial socialists in this country who would like a very, very quick description of what life is like under socialism. Just one day of life. In fact, the book is One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. And it's a story written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who served time in some of Stalin's re-education camps. And it is one day in the life of an individual who was sent to one of those camps for 10 years for I'm not exactly sure what his offense was. And it describes what life is like when everybody shares equally under socialism. And they should read that and find out just exactly how that works. And then I have another message for those who would like to take our Constitution and turn this into a socialist dictatorship. Those of us who served in the military took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's the Constitution. And that oath did not have any termination date. So as long as there are veterans in this country, you socialist pups are going to have a hard time.
I agree. Pete, thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
Why didn't you release your taxes in 2010 when you ran? You didn't release them until after the election. I did more. You kept moving the goalposts. You keep moving the goalposts and have a whole different set of rules for me than you have for you, and I don't think that's fair.
I've released them for 20 years.
There we go. How to debate a liberal. Governor Cuomo and Cynthia Nixon on who can be the most liberal in the New York governor's debate. Besides, the libs aren't backing the most liberal candidate, actress Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City fame. Hey now.
You don't snap your fingers as governor, and it happens.
Well, it will never happen if you empower the IDC
please, can you stop
and give the Republicans control of the state Senate.
Can you please do that?
If you stop lying, I will stop interrupting.
If you stop lying, I'll stop interrupting. You ever wonder what a lib debate would be like? There you have it.
New York State is the state that says we will not cooperate with ICE. They're a bunch of thugs.
Wow. Can't wait to hear what you have to say about that one in a minute. First, kind of consider ourselves the fast food of the media industry. You come in, we try to get to you as quick as possible. Holly Caldwell, or Holly in Caldwell on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Holly.
Hi, Kevin. So I heard you might have had my friend from the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance on. Not my friend, but my person that I like that's done a lot for Idaho.
Greg Pruitt, he'll be on next week.
Perfect. Well, I forgot to mention when I called in last time when people about checking out ways to find out who to vote for. They do a really good job of informing people about the candidates, and they have some information on their site about Paulette Jordan and her positions on guns and which guns need to be controlled. And, you know, she really is a neo-communist that's, you know, on the socialist agenda, but the media is really laying low on that because they don't want Idahoans to realize that. She's very eloquent, and she appears
I really
like a great lady,
I don't really find her that way.
For governor.
I find her hard to listen to, actually. Her syntax is a little.
I agree, but I think if people aren't
Holly, can I get a word in edgewise here?
Sure, go ahead. It's your show.
No, well, I just wanted to have a conversation. If not, I'll do what I usually do and just turn off the mic, and then people get mad at me for not talking. I just find her syntax a little difficult. It's very formal and what have you. Look, she's accomplished a lot, but you have a lot of Democrats that, once she was elected, allege that she missed a lot of votes. You know, the clip that they have on the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance website is something that we've referenced from the very beginning. Joe Parrish asking her about appearing at the anti-gun rally, and then she's against the AR-15, but she's for weapons. It makes no sense, and she's going nowhere. But, you know, I think it would be interesting to see, since all the Democrats are socialists now, to ask every Democrat that you know, whether it's local or what have you, are you a socialist? Because that's what your party's about. It's the Democrat Socialist Party.
I think you're exactly right. I think that, you know, people need to be more vigilant, and I encourage everybody to join the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. And they're having a banquet on September 7th, as you probably know, and a rally on the 8th. Idahoans need to be involved and informed and to keep us a conservative state, that's for sure.
Well, now I didn't interrupt. I was just listening like I was going to say like a good monkey, but you can't say monkey anymore. So like a good boy. Holly, anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think that, you know, be vigilant, get informed when you're voting. Check out the Idaho Freedom Foundation, the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. Check where the PAC money's coming from, and don't take the PAC names at face value. People need to look at where those fundings are coming from, because sometimes they seem real innocent based on their name, and it's really not what people think. So
they call that the bait and the switch.
That's true. You have a great day, Kevin. Thanks.
Holly, thank you. That lady is well-researched. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Gebert.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Mike Tracy's on hold. Mike, we've only got a few seconds, so if you want to hang on, great, or if you would like to call back, want to make sure you continue to get the message out. Phone number is here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Don't forget this week, the Spirit of Boise Balloon Classic underway now at Ann Morrison Park. We hope to see you there. Brought to you by our friends at CapEd Credit Union. They do such a great job. We so appreciate them. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.